Hey there, rock stars. Welcome back to the show. What if your online ordering system could triple your revenue and you didn't have to lift a finger? During the pandemic, Jason Abraham, my guest, helped steer Pizza Hut through one of the biggest digital transformations in restaurant history, launching a new mobile app, curbside ordering, and technology that changed how guests order with restaurants. Well, now, as product management director at Menufy, he's helping independent operators harness that same technology without getting lost in the noise. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by too many platforms, too little time, and shrinking margins, this episode will show you how to simplify, scale, and take back control of your guest experience. Again, Jason Abraham with Menufy.
You're tuned in to the Restaurant Rockstars podcast. Powerful ideas to rock your restaurant. Here's your host, Roger Bodwin.
Menufy works with the best independent restaurants in the business to not just compete, but stand out. Menufy uplevels SEO, takes direct online orders, markets to your guests, and manages your online reputation. You get a custom-branded SEO-optimized website, powerful data that you control without losing 30% to third parties, automated customer feedback, loyalty programs, marketing tools, built-in chargeback protection, and 24/7 support. Menufy is simple, powerful, and fully managed. Learn more at restaurant.menufy.com. Running a restaurant means juggling a lot: menus, orders, payments, and keeping everything consistent. MenuTiger makes that easier. With MenuTiger, guests scan a QR code at their table to see your digital menu, place their order, and even pay right from their phone. Behind the scenes, you can update menus instantly with custom branding, manage multiple locations, track sales with real-time analytics, even add upsells or collect guest feedback. It's simple, efficient, and built for restaurants of all sizes. Try MenuTiger today and see how much smoother your restaurant can run. Get started at menutiger.com. Welcome back to the Restaurant Rockstars podcast. So glad you're here. And Jason, welcome to the show today.
Roger, thank you for having me. I'm happy to talk about these topics.
Well, you've got a wealth of experience, and I know you've spent many, many years with Pizza Hut, and no one, everybody knows what Pizza Hut's all about, but you achieved some remarkable things there. But
Yeah.
Just tell us about your tenure and what your position was and what you've done to obviously up-level our industry from a tech standpoint.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to be at Pizza Hut during some pretty wild times.
Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The pandemic, for example, changes in how we view technology. And we basically, during that time, I was product director over the mobile app, online ordering, the technology, so we called Above Restaurant. And we released things during that time that were pretty momentous. Completely new app, which changed the way we dealt with guests and how they interacted with a large enterprise like Pizza Hut and multiple franchisees. We had curbside ordering during that time, really major shifts in the way like restaurants work with guests.
And that was a pivotal time, right? Right around the pandemic, everything shifted when everything went sideways. And then when the dust all settled, then suddenly online ordering became huge. You had to have it. Like it was a thing just before that, but then mobile apps just really exploded and guest convenience. It was really all about that. But, there is a statistic where you were able to increase revenues through the mobile app, and that was just huge for Pizza Hut.
But dramatically. I mean, the big key there for Pizza Hut was figuring out basically how to serve guests and the customers that we all have, right? And during this transition, right before the pandemic, the idea of really understanding what guests and customers are looking for out in market, that understanding, applying technology to solve those problems and make it easy for them, really basically tripled, quadrupled the revenue gained from just something as simple as a mobile app. It's a big key was looking at the guest and where they were going, like understanding where the customer was in market and what their expectations were, and which is really tough for restaurants, right? Pizza Hut's fantastic because you have tons of people and personnel hyper-focused on customers. And a lot of our restaurant owners now don't have that opportunity. So when we talk about releasing a mobile app at Pizza Hut, the level of experience and learnings I gained there were amazing, an amazing opportunity that most of our restaurant owners really just don't have right now.
Amazing. So would you say that some of the challenges and pain points from the pandemic have remained? And what are you seeing today as being some of those biggest challenges, of course, with independent restaurants mostly?
I think they have absolutely remained. If anything, it's sort of like a wave that's grown over time. I think we have a period of struggle for restaurants that have continued to get worse. It's in essence just talking to restaurant owners and operators. It's the hardest time it's ever been. Staffing during the pandemic was virtually impossible. That's eased up a little bit, but not by much. And it's not going back, right? The cost of labor has increased. Your cost of goods are reduced. They're impacting margins in a way that restaurant owners that have had restaurants for like 40 years are now, they've experiencing a crunch to their margins that they feel that they can't move. They feel that they can't make decisions because they're afraid of losing whatever profit they have. And then overall, like technology is exploded, right? Your customer behavior and guest behavior completely changed in what their expectations are. And the technology is very complex. And it feels like there aren't really clear guides out of this quagmire.
Do you see that a lot of independent restaurants or operators are still sort of behind the curve when it comes to technology because there's so much out there and it's really hard to differentiate between this platform and that platform, and it's new coming out every single day, and it's kind of like, oh my gosh, you just put your hand up and you realize that some of the stuff can really improve your business, but it's cutting through the clutter of everything out there and figuring out, what do I really need in my tech stack besides a point of sale system? And besides online ordering, and there's so many pieces. So you'd say that you are seeing that.
It's absolutely overwhelming for restaurant operators. Solutions are popping up here and there. There's tech solutions that are tied together. So for example, your POS might offer something that you can use. What's not clear for a lot of our operators is they're experts in how to run their restaurant, right? Like they know every aspect of the kitchen. They know, how to handle customers. And the tech world is new, right? Most folks got into the restaurant business not to be experts in digital media and technology. And so, the actual technology offered to them, although could be very relevant, is over. It's like they have to become experts now in technology just to make a decision.
Right. And then there's the time of evaluating all this technology when all you're trying to do is run your restaurant, especially when you're short-staffed. Like you mentioned, that's still a pain point.
Yeah.
And then inflation, of course, is crazy and margins are shrinking. But the problem that I've seen a lot is you can only, there's a ceiling to how many price increases you can pass on to a guest and still offer value when you're short-staffed and perhaps the hospitality isn't being delivered to the point that it once was. So these are all challenges. And now the owner, if he wasn't tied to the store 24/7 before, we're certainly seeing a lot of that right now. And that's just unfortunate, missing your kids growing up and all that kind of stuff just because I have to be there, and there is, go ahead.
Yeah, we hear a lot from restaurants actually that when we talk to them about offerings and technology, and specifically with Menufy, we reach out to our customer base. One of the big things that we hear often is, I just don't have time, right? Just to make a technical decision, you have to do a lot of research. And I'm not going to be the guy that goes to an operator and says, you need to make time because it's important, right? If you're chopping onions, running payroll, answering phones, the last thing you want to hear is a tech guy come into you and be like, this is important for your business and you need to make time for this. So that just doesn't make any sense. Like, I think technology often will offer a do-it-yourself approach. And I feel that a lot of companies just don't get it, right? It's like if you were hiring a manager, you would be actually dumbfounded if that manager came and said, here, now you do all the work. And that's an approach that I think a lot of tech companies completely miss. Really, here's what I can recommend to restaurant owners. When you're looking for tech, you obviously don't have a lot of time. So there's some key points to really ask and to inquire. One is support. That's something that a lot of companies don't talk a lot about, but it's super, super important. Some of Menufy's most valuable, most loyal customers came to us because when there was an emergency, they were able to reach out and actually get someone on the phone that had the ability to help them. Like, that is immense.
And not being in a queue and waiting for the phone to call you back when you're in the thick of it. Yeah, go ahead.
100%. At the right time. right? Restaurants do not have normal work hours. So you need to be able to call either when the emergency happens, when you have customers waiting on you, right? You need to be able to call after everything is done and you are finally getting some rest and you have a little bit of time to figure out and solve the problem. And so that means that having a company that has a support model that fits your time, your schedule, and that you're able to communicate with is super important. So that's number one, support. The next is guided experts. So again, back to the do-it-yourself problem. Someone can give you all the tools. Like our restaurant owners, they're experts in their menu. They know every aspect of it. They're not experts in a menu creation system, right? And to ask them to build their own menu is a little ridiculous because customers expect a different experience on their phone than they do walking in and seeing a printed menu. And so there are services like us that offer guided experts that actually help run the business. So that's something to ask for. When you're looking at technology, think about applying that technology to your business because that takes time. And the last is there's, like you said, tons of technology. It's getting the different pieces to work together, right? They're not just Lego blocks. Like you want to make sure that you don't need to be the one that takes an order and transfer the contact information to another system so that system can track. And so I'll give an example, something that we do that it's almost magical. And especially someone been in the tech world, this is something I can appreciate, both restaurant and tech. So we take orders from your customers, right? We look at their order behavior. For example, we can tell when someone who normally orders once a week all of a sudden starts slacking. Let's say maybe they ordered maybe 3 times this past month. The system says, hey, let's send that individual family an email with a coupon. Let's encourage that frequency to get it back up. Once that happens, it's tracked. It's like, hey, did they respond to the coupon? Are there other things? Is it loyalty? Is there other things we can push? And then we provide that information back to the restaurant. That is huge. It's in essence 4 different systems all talking to each other, and the restaurant owner doesn't have to do anything. And so it's not just the capabilities that tech companies offer. It's like, how much time is it going to take from you as a restaurant operator to actually take advantage of those capabilities? You're looking for a simple question to ask in that scenario would be, great, what do I have to do to get that value?
Wow, 2 points come to mind: competitive advantage and peace of mind, because the last thing you want are more stresses and more headaches when you're running your restaurant.
No kidding. There's enough of them.
And yeah, right. And this is I say this frequently, but this is the only business I know where people walk in the back door with no appointments, unannounced, trying to sell you things. And then the phone rings off the hook all day. And so many operators are sort of reactive and not proactive. And that's really what you need to be, and to really make solid decisions based on all the available information at your fingertips. So that's cool. What have you seen about changing guest expectations or what they're seeking in their dining experiences and just consumer behavior in general? Because you do speak to lots of independent restaurants.
Yeah, the massive shift in the past few years away from the classic model of like, hey, people talk to their friends, they find out about new restaurants in the area, they drive past them, they walk up to the restaurant, they sort of, step in, try it. It's the classic model that we used to have where good service, good hospitality kind of grows and is sort of an organic way of getting new customers. It's completely changed. Now
the word of mouth thing used to be the most effective and cost-effective
that's
point.
Exactly.
So
right.
Where is this leading you? Tell us where you're going with this.
Online now, and it's funny is when I describe this, it does make sense, but often people don't sort of lay it out this way. So the concept of people talking to their neighbor and suggesting a restaurant is now transformed. It's Google reviews, right? The concept of walking down your street and looking at a new restaurant and maybe checking out the online menu is searching online and like finding out information about the restaurant. It's to the point of knowing what to order, when to go, is there parking? All of that has moved online and further away from the restaurant operator, right? It feels like they have sort of less control. So we're talking about Google reviews, we're talking about your Google listing, searches, local search on maps. It's the same activity, the same behavior is now just moved almost entirely online.
Okay, that's obvious. And, there's been such an emphasis on the importance of responding to your online reviews. And that's just one more thing that needs to happen, reputation management. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. But Isn't it funny? And I've said this before on this show that it seems to be human nature that you can have a fantastic experience. And unless you actually ask someone to leave a review, they're not necessarily going to dive right into their computer and leave you a great review. But the minute the slightest thing happens where your experience goes sideways, humans are just so quick to slam a restaurant, and you need
Yeah.
to make things right online. You need to obviously, explain the situation and, take responsibility if you did mess up and then make it right for the guest. But I always thought it was kind of unfortunate because we do encourage through this podcast. And, when I ran restaurants, it's like, let people know if you had a great experience. We'd certainly appreciate you leaving us a review. And that's, like you said, how most people find us. And if the reviews are stellar and if you're at the top of the list, then chances are you're going to have a busy restaurant.
So things we've sort of discovered just in general, talking
Yeah.
about reviews in restaurants. So studies have shown that for restaurants, you need to have at least 100 reviews. Anything under 100, not only does Google kind of view it as sort of questionable, at least initially, but also just like your general average consumer looking at it, they are looking for restaurants that have a lot of reviews. The magic star count is really between like 4 and like 4. Having perfect, let's say you had like 200 reviews and they're all 5-star, no one trusts it. And you can sort of think of it as just your general pub. They're smart. They understand that in real life, business is tough and that people are going to have problems. So for restaurateurs, a bad review won't break you. But what the actual guests are looking for is like real life. They're looking for, did the restaurant respond? Is it a genuine response? Was it a problem that's probably the guest, or was the problem the restaurant? And it kind of goes back to when we think about it of just human nature, it all makes sense. The big downside is it's just a lot of time. Like it would go back to the original conversation you and I had about just expecting restaurant operators, managers, folks to, let's say you're really popular and you got a lot of reviews. It's a lot of stuff to deal with. It's a lot of going online,
sure.
answering questions. I think a lot of things bubble down to time. And so this is one of those things where there's technology solutions out there that can help. And part of the key in the question that we have to look at is, does it save you any time?
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the online ordering thing, because years ago, obviously, well, you mentioned it earlier, the technology has to speak to each other, but you can't have too much stuff that doesn't. And I remember there was a time when, you'd have a different tablet for every online ordering platform there was. There'd be 5 tablets and orders would be coming in all over the place. It's like, I can't imagine being a host or the person in charge of taking that. And then there's the controversy about the percentage of fees that get taken, and operators need additional business and they welcome the business, but at what cost? The profit margin decrease when in an already shrinking margin business. How have things evolved now? And tell us about the current online ordering and the future of online ordering. What are you seeing?
Yeah. So marketplaces are a big deal, right? Like it's one of those, I hate using the term necessary evil, but it does feel like that when someone takes 30% of that order from you.
Exactly. And that's still the amount.
It's an
Yeah,
emotional,
30%.
it's an emotional thing, right? And I
Right.
know a lot of operators feel that they need to have it. Well, here's the thing. The reason why they feel
Go
they
ahead.
need to have it is because it's bringing in new customers. It's a tool, just like any other sort of marketing platform. I think what we've kind of learned over time is the balance between marketplaces and online ordering is great. Use it for what it's good for, right? It gets your restaurant in front of new eyes, and that's wonderful for that, right? It makes sense to spend 30% of that order, right? The second order, right? You really want it to be part of your own website. So there's some techniques that you can do. So for example, with Menufy, we offer what we call conversion cards. They're cards that you can place in with the food that the actual recipient, the guest, is encouraged or incentivized to get like 5% off for their next order if they order directly from you as a website. Things like that basically reinforce some healthy practices for restaurants. One is you're using an advantage that you have that most of the guests already know that they're going to get a cheaper cost going directly to you. They're going to get a better value for their dollar if they went directly to you. So you're just reinforcing that. And that's something that anyone can do. You don't need a service to basically inform your guest per order going out, hey, we encourage you to order within. The next thing is when they do order with you, make sure your ordering experience is good. Because really you're competing with the marketplaces in that case. You're trying to earn that customer. That person ordering is now your customer. So you want that online ordering to make sense. You want your menu to make sense. You want to sort of incentivize them to keep using your platform and your restaurant website with like loyalty, with discounts, with things that basically make it a pleasure for them to order directly from you as a restaurant. And that's how you keep them, because they could go back to DoorDash, for example, or Uber or any of the marketplaces. The last is you got to be front of mind, right? So you want to create a habit. If it's a family of four ordering pizza on a Friday, you want to come up again the next Friday. And so email marketing, text marketing. It's interesting because the concept, when we say online ordering now, it used to mean just taking an order. But now like the concept of online ordering really is tying together the whole experience. It's like, how do all the different parts work together? And in this case, it's to solve the problem of, hey, how do I use marketplaces to get those new customers, but quickly convert them so they become my customers and not the marketplace customers?
Well, I guess the marketplace doesn't really like that idea too much, but well, I always had this expression, the money's either in your pocket or it's in their pocket. So anything you can do to be proactive, be competitive, and to own the data. Let's talk about that, because originally the marketplace would take all that customer data and use it for their own purposes, but the restaurant had no idea who these people were. They couldn't capture any of that information, but all that's shifted too. Would you like to speak to that?
Yeah. So there are some things the marketplaces are great at. We just talked about getting new customers. Wonderful. They're great at delivery, right? So if you're starting up a restaurant, or let's say you have delivery and you just know that you have, let's say on Tuesday, it's really tough to get drivers in, staffing becomes a problem, right? Like,
sure,
these marketplaces they realize that and they've evolved. And so there are ways that even with systems like Menufy, you can take advantage of aspects of that without spending 30% of that order and giving them the customer where your guest is owned by them as opposed to being your customer. And so systems like Menufy will use those same company, like for example, like marketplace companies that specifically use their drivers. And so you can still run your online order, have orders come through you. They're your customers. You have all the information about the customer, including contact information and like ordering behavior. But then you can use the DoorDash and Uber Eats drivers to actually deliver your food. So you get the advantage of a pretty huge driver network, and it's pretty elaborate. And to be honest, they do a really good job. Like people have their complaints, but running that is a massive deal because you are working with them. They want that relationship with that restaurant, right? They still have that relationship. So it's not like you are against the marketplaces. It's really allowing restaurants kind of use the marketplaces, what they're good for, and focus on the cores of the business, which is, hey, are you attracting new customers? Are you keeping the customers that you have?
Yeah, there's definitely an advantage to that too. I know when I ran restaurants, we did our own delivery. And occasionally it was challenging getting the drivers, but then the insurance rates kept going up and there's definitely liability you have to worry about. And it's like, is it really worth it? That's one more stressor. If you can take that off your plate and still, make a regional margin, why wouldn't you want to do it?
That's exactly right.
I'm glad you shared that. Let's do a deep dive into Menufy. Give us the 30,000-foot view. Tell us, I mean, there's so many features, there's so many benefits that I found very beneficial when I owned restaurants. Obviously, all these things, I can list 10 different things that Menufy does, but let's start at the beginning and just walk us through.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. And it's something, as someone who's like been with the company now for 2 years and especially focusing on product where you're like, you're in the deep part of it. It's hard to describe even for me. But the gist of what we offer from a very high level is we focus on what are the things that make a restaurant successful in above restaurant, right? It's the digital world. It's the online ordering. It's the reaching out to the customers. It's the loyalty programs. So that to really speak at it at a high level, imagine that it's another front of house. Imagine
I like that analogy.
It works. And it's the easiest way to sort of explain, especially because the tech is so complex. So you have the technology to advertise the business. So you have your storefront out there, right? We are connecting to Google. We are pushing your menu, your prices. If you change your hours on your website, we inform Google, Bing, Apple. We do all of this work to make sure that your digital front of house is accurate. It says when you're open, It shows your price. It basically attracts the walk-up virtual customers to your restaurant and shows you from your own brand. Say a customer comes in and orders. We make sure the ordering experience makes sense, that we're showing them what makes your restaurant special. It's your food. The menu is super important. We make sure that the menu makes sense for someone ordering online and matches their expectations, because they're experts now using online to make orders. We make sure that we handle any problems that arise. That third-party delivery that we talked about, like if you're utilizing DoorDash or Uber Eats, we coordinate with them to make sure the right driver's picking up the food, they're ready and prepared with the right size, both vehicle as well as any special packaging that needs to be there. We do that work to make sure that the end customer gets the food and it's a good quality. It represents the restaurant the best as it can. Then we do the work to make sure after they leave that their experience is both recorded. We understand. There's a tool we have called the feedback tool that reaches out right after they make their order and says, what was your experience like? For most of the experiences for these guests, it's going to be great. And they're going to tell us it's great. And you mentioned before, it's like, it's really tough because people who have good experiences don't make ratings and reviews. We'll encourage them to do so, right? We basically reach out and say, hey,
love it.
Please share this information with the public on Google. Let's say there's a problem. We actually capture those problems before it becomes public, and we share that back with the restaurant. So the restaurant is able to solve that problem before it becomes big. A lot of these guests,
huge.
They're just looking for someone to hear them, and it just happened to be their only venue they had was Google reviews. Lastly, after that's done, we actually reach out to them again. We put your restaurant in front of their face. We make sure that those customers remember they had a great experience with you, right? So the next time they're making their decision, you come up. We also know that habits are built up. If they order from you 4 times, you've got them, right? They're going to become recurring regulars. It is this kind of cycle of working with attracting new customers, keeping the customers that you have now, and like making sure that we have kind of like a system that feeds in itself to like make the business healthier. It's super important because hospitality is dramatically changed in a very short amount of time. And we've come to realize, even ourselves, that the experience that our restaurateurs want to give to people who walk through their door, we've got to emulate that virtually. Because you may have someone who finds out about your restaurant using Google, or potentially using, let's say, a marketplace, receives their order from a delivery driver that doesn't work for the restaurant, may experience a problem and then complain in a public forum that's not the restaurant. And how, as a restaurant operator, how do you connect that person? And that's one of the big, I think, struggles that a lot of restaurants have, that we've kind of realized, online ordering has now become very complex. It is the new version of hospitality.
Where's it going in the future? Where do you see this whole thing evolving, right? Along with other technology that just keeps going. AI. Everybody's talking about AI. That's somewhat intimidating to independent operators. It has so many uses to it that'll benefit a restaurant, where you can do things so much easier. It's a time saver. It's accurate. It can do, it can do immeasurable things. What about online ordering and other parts of technology? Where do you see the future of that going, that just keeps improving restaurant operations, making it more efficient and, more satisfying to the guests?
Yeah. Utilize just sort of an example that I did before, which is that sort of virtual storefront. If you sort of imagine, like when we were sort of attracting customers as restaurants, we had like pamphlets, we had flyers, we'd canvas neighborhoods. You would do
the old
those
school
sort of
stuff
things.
I used to do back in the day.
What's funny is in some areas it's still working. It's small communities and good for them. But when things started to shift, you use just new avenues to sort of get in front. When marketplaces started coming about, even with it, or like if you have a good location on a street, you sort of changed your approach to attract customers. Technology is no different. So AI, and I'll give you a very specific example. So let's say you're traveling into Chicago and you're like, man, I'm excited. I'm going to see what are the places I can go eat. What are those locations? And you're not looking for the Pizza Huts of the world, right? As someone who's traveling, you want to find a local mom and pop shop that best represents that community that you're going to be in. In that world, I think what you used to do is you go TripAdvisor. You go look and see, okay, what are the locations that I need to visit? What are the attractions I need to do? And what are the restaurants? I think we're evolving to the point where now you're going to see AI taking over that. People are already going to ChatGPT and asking, give me an itinerary for Chicago. And it's important that as a technical company, that we're looking at where are the guests looking and how are they going to discover these restaurants. And so whether if that's using
Good
AI
point.
to help create that itinerary, whether it is finding out that the new forum for discovery and sharing the good experiences is like that next social media outlet. One thing I can say that is true is it's going to get more eyes than it ever had before. Have moved online in droves, and online moves really fast. It's unfair for restaurant operators to be like experts in this. It's really tough. And it's something that I think it's important that whatever technical company you choose, they are with you in that guide, because it's hard enough to just run a restaurant, right? Adding all of the complexities of understanding technology and the trends that are happening. So you want a group, and this is actually one of the big benefits of having a technical firm that you're working with, is that you want someone constantly looking at the numbers, someone that's constantly looking at the trends, that's running tests, that's actually helping sort of see what that future looks like, so you don't have to carry all the weight of that change.
An expert partner in your corner.
That's right.
That keeps an eye on what's coming and lets you know about it, and even rolls out new features. Are there new features coming?
Yeah,
you want to
there
talk about, or is all that secret?
Absolutely is. Now, a lot of it ends up being secret, but I can say this.
Tell us what you can.
We focus a lot right now on restaurant profitability. Like, what are the things that we can provide restaurants in a very short term to address cost of goods sold, right? The thinning margins, the staffing problems. So we're looking at ways to improve the fee structures, right? We know that there are limitations specifically on just increasing your prices. So we're improving our discounts. We're basically enacting new ways for surcharges to be applied. So for example, we know that in some areas of the country, there's like a 10-cent bag fee. And it's really difficult. It's hard to work in the POS and in the online world. So we want to create tools that let restaurants compensate for these sort of surprise taxes, surprise fees, as costs. So for example, now that we're relying much more on third-party delivery, you even have to have better packaging. You want to make sure your food survives the journey. So
Absolutely
you want
true.
to be able to say, hey, if you purchase a particular food item, you as a guest should get better packaging for that particular food item as it's being delivered. So giving our restaurants the capability to compensate for the different costs and the complexities in that world is super important. That's something we're working on now. Another element is, we talked about the marketplaces before. We want to make it incredibly attractive for guests to use your restaurant website and not go back to the marketplaces, right? So along with like loyalty that we already have, along with marketing discounts, we want to make it so easy that they can make an order in no time. If they have a family of 4 and each person in the family wants their own different version and configuration of any of the particular items, when they visit your website, we want to remember that. They don't have to reselect it. We want to remember any special recommendations they have. We're looking at how can we make it incredibly easy so that if that guest decided to use another platform, they're losing something. It's like, oh man, I should just order directly from the website. They know me. That's the new world of hospitality that's online. AI and integration with that's not far. We got to start now. As
No
a
doubt.
small mom and pop operator and our customers, and we really care about, we already know the big guys like Pizza Hut are doing it, right? We already know that folks that have entire marketing divisions and entire engineering divisions looking out for them, they're doing that. We need to do the same, right? And our guests want that too, right? As they get more comfortable with seeing like doctor's visits online, with even ordering groceries online now, like our mom and pop restaurants need someone to support them so that their businesses show up just like any other business that you can access online now.
Everything you mentioned is highly relevant and value added to operators, and I speak from experience when I say that. And you triggered a thought earlier when we started talking about the automatic updating of your Google information. And that happened to me last week. I was traveling for a speaking gig. I was in Wichita, Kansas, a city I'd never been to before. And so I looked up restaurants. I was looking for a Mexican restaurant or whatnot, and the reviews were good. But then when I typed it into the GPS, it said they were open at such and such an hours. And then when I actually drove miles to get there, the place was closed. So obviously it wasn't updated. And then I had to go through the process all over again, go find another place, the inconvenience and all that kind of stuff. So you're right. That was just one small detail that made a difference in my experience that is automatically handled that would give you peace of mind. Let's go back to the marketing piece and some SEO, because I know you do SEO optimized websites, and SEO can be a mystery because I've heard you need to spend so much money in SEO and it's got to be repetitive over months and months and months and to keep staying on top of the searches and all this kind of stuff. And no restaurant, one, has the time for it, can afford it, or really knows where to begin with it. So you take all of that over as well. Can you explain that? Because I think that's a pretty relevant feature also.
And by the way, a very complex topic. It's, we have folks calling our customers and suggesting like search engine optimization, marketing. And, as a restaurant operator, you sort of hear the term SEO all the time and don't necessarily know what it means. So I'll start there. Like the gist, what we're ultimately talking about is if most of your customers are coming through a venue like Google, right? They're also Google customers. They're users of Google.
Right.
And so when someone types in, hey, I'm looking for pizza near me, then what Google wants to do is they want to find an answer that's most relevant to their users. So when we talk about search engine optimization, we're really just talking about making sure Google has all the information to provide the right answer to the customer. What it used to mean like 15 years ago, it was like the visible and invisible website content. Right. You used to be able to put tons of information in text on your page to make sure that you were relevant when Google popped up. The world has changed dramatically. And so what we're really talking about search engines now is not just, does the text on your restaurant website say what you guys make? We're talking about, does Google know your hours? Are they integrated into your online ordering platform? Do they know that if they send a customer, so Roger's traveling, if Roger asks, hey, I'm looking for food near me, if Google is going to provide you that answer, is the restaurant open? Is the restaurant near him? Are people happy with what they've ordered from the restaurant? And so there are tons of more complex aspects about how a restaurant provides information to Google that really makes that restaurant relevant, appear top on the list, appear in map searches, et cetera, et cetera. And so the world of SEO has gotten so complex. In Menufy, we kind of view it as, one, we want to make sure that your restaurant and the text in your restaurant, one, is super useful for your guests, meaning if guests view your restaurant website, do they understand you? Do they understand your brand? Do they understand what differentiates you from others? That's always helpful for search engines because that helps Google answer that question. Two, we fully integrate with Google, Bing, Apple. They know, not only do they know your menu, not only do they know your prices, we update it within 24 hours so that they know that if an appetizer changes prices, they know. They know if you put holiday hours, they know that. They even know if you have construction and you move the front door of your restaurant to the side of the building, we provide them that information. They know the latitude and longitude from every aspect. So all we need to know is what are the hours on your website? What is your menu? We have all that information. And so we immediately connect with them. So you as a restaurant operator don't have to remember to go do that because that's just another thing like on your list that you have to update. And then the last part is we have tools like our feedback tool that encourages ratings. And I can't stress it enough. It's super important nowadays for restaurants. And so we save restaurants time by helping coordinate that, by encouraging good reviews and capturing the bad ones that may end up in Google and letting you as a restaurant operator answer them. So those are sort of the three pillars of modern day SEO that a lot of people don't talk about. Because a lot of the consultants that call up our restaurants or talk to our restaurants can't do the last two. They could only fiddle with the words on your website, and that's becoming less and less important. And especially when you think about search engine optimization is, does Google have the right answer to provide to Roger when he's traveling? It's obvious. Like they want accurate, up-to-date, relevant information. And so it takes companies like Menufy to really have your restaurant show up.
There's another pain point, and I'm going back to my restaurant days, and I sold my restaurants like 12, 15 years ago, whatever. But back in the day, whenever there was sort of a chargeback dispute,
Yeah.
someone would have to dig through boxes of like receipts to find the actual credit card slip that was signed by the guest to actually verify that it was signed by the guest. And now that's a feature. There's like chargeback protection. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that?
This is a big deal and a big differentiator, and I don't think I make a big enough point on this. One major risk restaurants face right now, especially with online ordering and carryout, is fraudulent card. Anyone
For
with an
sure.
internet connection can use your
Yep.
website, your ordering platform, to not only just use a fake card and pick up food, but test credit cards. They get big list of credit cards and they're just running through
I've heard
your
this.
system, and they're causing pain for a lot of our operators. They inevitably result in a chargeback. And even though the charge may only be like $2, let's say someone bought a soda, the chargeback's like $35 to $45. And you've seen that as they flow through as a penalty to
I have.
you as the restaurant. So online ordering has a lot of risks. One of the things Menufy offers that is a game changer, and I should lead with this, to be honest, is to offer full chargeback protection. Meaning if there is a fraudulent charge and there is a chargeback because of that fraudulent charge, it does not go to our restaurants. Menufy absorbs it fully. And we do that
That's
because
awesome.
we're not just super kind. We have a really good and robust fraud detection system. And that's how robust and that's how much we trust it. So yeah, there's one thing
That
is we
is super
save you from the
valuable.
chargebacks because the Lord knows it eats in profits. It comes in months later and it's a complete surprise and disrupts your business. But because we catch these problems earlier, you're not creating the food that just sits there. You're not wasting or sending out food that you're not getting paid for. So if you receive an order and you send out that food and there's a chargeback, you've gotten paid for it. It was not wasted and it does not impact your business.
Several aspects of benefit there. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Let's end up with, we talked a little bit about support and how important that is and how dedicated your support team is. What about onboarding and getting up to speed with the platform, depending on how robust, an operator wants to go with this? Like, what's the timeline and what can we expect and how easy is it?
Yeah, I'll just say this. The analogy of the front of house that's virtual, you get a full staff. That's one huge differentiator for us as well. So we have teams of experts that help you craft what makes sense for your customers and represents your brand. We don't expect you to do it yourself. That's something it's kind of a core tenet of our business really early on. But we want to partner. We're restaurant folks selling technology, not technology folks selling to restaurants, right? We know that people don't have time. We know that staffing and training is difficult. And so you're given an expert, a customer success expert that first of all sits not only with your initial onboarding journey, but sits with you through your entire journey with Menufy. You get special onboarding team members that are dedicated to making sure your website represents your brand, properly represents what makes you unique in your cuisine. You get menu experts that craft that menu. I talked about a little bit earlier is you may be an expert in your menu, but you're not an expert in the setting up the menu and the expectations of customers when they're ordering, like how to configure and what should that look like? And should it be a button, a click, a radio button? Like it's really complex. And so we have that for you. We have folks that are focused on your Google business listings. If restaurants out there, if you guys don't own your Google business listings, if you don't have one, my recommendation is go get that set up now. Google right now wants you as a restaurant, and they want to provide information about your restaurant that has pictures, that has hours, that has et cetera. All the information I said earlier, you can do yourself manually. It does take time, but you want to set that up. We have folks that will do that for you. We will work with you to make sure it's right. We'll work with you on making sure images are relevant, that you're providing the right information so that when those virtual customers are looking for restaurants like you or looking for your exact restaurant, that they're getting the right information. Along with that, we talk about coupons, about email campaigns, about feedback. We sort of set that process up. A lot of work is up front. So when you sign up, we have probably about a week and a half to actually get your website, your ordering set up so you can start receiving an order. But it doesn't end there. There is work that we're doing afterwards to then optimize how you look in search engines. We're doing work afterwards to see, is it effective? We're coming back to say, hey, we looked at these numbers. We recommend using this particular feature that you've already paid for, and let's leverage it and make it work for you as a restaurant. We are your staff in that virtual restaurant that's coming to you. You make the decisions. You're not alone, right? But we're giving you that guidance and help so that you can make the right decisions for your business.
Wow. I'm a huge believer in systems, and that is one robust system. And everything that you shared with us today, you made something seemingly complex, the big world of technology, really simple to understand. You really showed us how the value can be applied so simply and easily, and how you really zero in on what's most important to an operator. So thanks so much, Jason, for being with us on the show.
Thank you for having me. And I hope I represented the folks at Menufy really well, because we have really incredible folks. And it's sort of, I think the reason why we have such loyal restaurant customers is because we're like them, right? We know, we understand the business. We're all restaurant people. Whether we used to be restaurant people, some of us still are restaurant people now, it's in our blood.
I think that's very important, because there's a lot of technology out there that doesn't necessarily have the expertise of running restaurants behind it. It's an idea. We put something together, we get engineers, but it's like, that doesn't mean you've been in the trenches. You understand the pain points, the ins and outs of daily operations. It clearly sounds like you've got that dialed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. That was the Restaurant Rockstars podcast. Thank you so much to our audience for tuning in. Thanks to our sponsors this week, including Menufy. And we can't wait to see you all in the next episode. So stay well and stay tuned. And that's a wrap. See you next time. Every guest in your restaurant sees your menu. It's your most important and effective marketing tool, and every impression counts. TerraSlate not only provides easy-to-clean, waterproof, ripstop, antimicrobial menus that last, they also work with you to design menus that sell. It's time for a new menu. Get TerraSlate with a super-fast one-day turnaround and free overnight shipping. Go to TerraSlate.com. That's spelled TerraSlate.com.
Thanks for listening to the Restaurant Rockstars podcast. For lots of great resources, head over to restaurantrockstars.com. See you next time.